Welcome to the Referrals Podcast, the show designed to help everyone from the solopreneur to the Fortune 500 company win the referral game. If you want to build a company with an army of ambassadors and raving fans who speak highly of you and refer you willingly, you are in the right place. And now, here is your host, Michael J. Maher.
Welcome, everyone, to another amazing episode of Referrals Podcast. We welcome you back again. And are you familiar with Gary Vaynerchuk's book, Crush It? And what does crush have to do with networking? How do you crush it with referrals? The answer is probably networking. Do you remember, speaking of crush, in Finding Nemo, an age-old classic of movies, up there with Citizen Kate and Shawshank Redemption, there is Finding Nemo. And do you remember in Finding Nemo, Nemo's dad and Dory, the fish who forgot everything, and they were swimming and they were making their way to find Nemo, hence the name of the movie, Finding Nemo. And they came into one calamity after another, but one calamity almost killed them. And this mistake could almost kill your business. The calamity was they ran into a bunch of, what are those called again? Jellyfish. And the jellyfish tentacles were poisoning them, shocking them, snapping at them, and the movie cuts. And it's like, oh no, Nemo's dad is dead, Dory's dead, the movie's over, they're not going to be able to find Nemo now, and it's bad news for everyone. Then the next cut we see is Nemo's dad on the back of our friend Crush, who, guess what, is a sea turtle. And Crush is swimming along, and they take Nemo's dad into this one really special place. And in this special place, they are actually moving their fins very slowly, but they're going over 200 miles an hour. They are shooting. Does anybody remember what the name of that place they went that was shooting them forward like 200 miles an hour? Underwater, by the way. It is the East Australian Current. They were barely moving, and yet they were shooting forward at hundreds of miles per hour in the ocean, and they were actually moving closer to finding Nemo than they ever were before. Well, ladies and gentlemen, how that relates to today's subject is business networking is your East Australian Current. You are going to see that the thing that accelerates your business and accelerates your referrals faster than anything else is getting help, a crush, and getting into this place where referrals and business and connections are happening rapid fire instead of you trying to do it on your own and getting hit by jellyfish. So today we have our own crush with us today, and I'm very excited about introducing our guest. And before I do that, I've got to give a shout out real quick. I mean, this is one of the most beautiful cards. If you're on YouTube, you can see it. But if you're listening to us, it's a beautiful card from Donna Tyler. And she writes, Michael, your positivity and dedication to sharing inspires me daily. Absolutely love your podcast, Referrals Podcast. Thank you for reminding me to forget perfect and go for progress. Definitely say that a lot. Progress, not perfection, right? And she also included a really good PS. So, Donna, instead of texting you, I'm going to give you a shout out on Referrals Podcast. I love your note. The colored envelope, the handwriting in blue ink, the beautiful stamp. Like, this is first class, Donna. This is first class. And I really appreciate it. Speaking of class and first class, we are doing our first networking marketing class, mastery class. Networkingmasteryclass.com is the URL. And guess what? You can learn how to get referrals faster. You can learn how to network for business the right way, not with taking, not with chasing, but actually receiving and giving and open armed and attracting business to you. And that leads us to our guest today. Mr. Thommy Sandvick is back. We have the pleasure of speaking with Thommy again today, a distinguished networking strategist and referral marketing expert, known as Thommy with an H across all of the generosity generation. He has transformed the way professionals build authentic connections and generate referrals. Thommy's journey from an IT professional and e-commerce expert to a top-tier referral coach is truly inspiring. He has earned our certified referral trainer designation, helping countless entrepreneurs and business owners transition from cold calls and door knocking to a steady stream of referrals by focusing on community-oriented growth. And not only that, but he has also served as every single position within Business Networking International except for vice president. This guy networks on a regular basis at the highest level. And in February, Thommy will be leading the Networking Mastery Class, a comprehensive program designed to equip professionals with proven strategies to build trust, save time, and turn those relationships into referrals. This class is perfect for those looking to enhance their networking skills and achieve tangible results. Beyond his professional endeavors, Thommy resides in Orlando, Florida with his husband Marco and their cats. When he's not teaching or coaching, you'll find him enjoying Orlando's theme parks or relaxing on the beach with friends. Please join me in welcoming back to Referrals Podcast, Mr. Thommy Sandvick. Welcome back.
Awesome. What's up? I'm so excited. Thank you for having me. It's been a long time coming. So excited to be back.
Well, we appreciate you. And I think this is the fourth or fifth time, and we have not even come close to exhausting your wisdom and what you have to share with the world. I really appreciate it. And I love our focus today with networking, as this was a huge part of my success in Kansas City and growing my real estate business. Because the big thing was that a lot of people knew me as a teacher. A lot of people knew me as a baseball player or a softball player or a friend or whatever it was. But everybody I met networking knew me as a realtor. They didn't know I was a new realtor. Not that I was going to divulge that to anybody. But they knew me just, oh, that's, I had a name badge that said realtor and I was a realtor. And so they didn't know any better. And they instantly, okay, had this guy's a realtor. So I didn't have to say it. I didn't have to announce it. They just knew I had my realtor hat on, and they started to look at me as a realtor, which made me look at myself as a realtor even more. So networking in the very beginning was a real burgeon of growth for me, because it built my sphere of influence very quickly with people who knew me as a realtor, whereas my old sphere knew me as whatever it may be, right? And that's an important cog to this. So, what does networking mean to you, and how has it shaped your business and personal success?
Yeah, well, I think that, most simply, it's just going out, go to an event and meet people, and having that opportunity with every person that you meet, to leave a great impression and see where that ends up going. I think that anyway, I think that's the simplest definition, at least for me. And then really at kind of a second layer is like going out and meeting people that are like you and starting to form community around the people that you're around, and then bringing them towards you so that you can create those connections among each other. So that's always the kind of how I
Yeah.
think networking is around.
So that's kind of like what networking is. I mean, so what
Yeah.
has networking done for you? Like what is, what are the benefits for you? Like what came out of it, and that kind of thing.
Well, look, I got to start with you. You mentioned BNI, and that came because I went to an event, and there was a great networker there. He asked me a question about what I do, and then was very encouraging in that response. And then about 4 or 5 months later, he invited me to the group that was forming what would become a BNI chapter. And then from that one experience, so much of my network grew through that one number one event with that one person doing that invitation. And so it really, when I started, I knew I was not going to cold call and I wasn't going to door knock and I wasn't going to do things that was not going to that was gonna make me feel super like it's okay to be uncomfortable, but it had to be aligned with who I am. And if I'm not gonna master something, I'm not gonna go do it. So
Yeah.
I knew that in 10 years I wasn't gonna be that master. So I went down the road of networking, and as a result of just going in there, like everything stemmed from that. So I started with knowing absolutely nobody in Orlando and going down the networking, launched a business, got my first client from networking, got my first, who became my number one ambassador very quickly from networking, which then started the kind of the steamroll, one thing to the next. So it has all gone back to networking. I've never done any other form of client acquisition.
Yeah, I love it. So, all right. So I think we've got to sometimes start with, all right, you talked about that guy that was a great networker.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the ones who are the worst networkers. Like,
Okay.
what are some of the biggest mistakes people make when trying to network? What are some of the biggest mistakes that you see out there?
Well, the
The
first one,
bad networker.
yeah.
We've
Well,
seen a lot of bad networkers.
yeah, definitely. I would say card throwing, right? That's the
Yeah.
number one. I actually knew someone who, like, literally, as this person was introducing, would hand you the card at the same time that the name was coming out of the mouth. I'm purposely not using pronouns so that there's no indication who I'm talking about, because some people may know. And
Yeah.
number one is the card throwing, right? And then number two actually happened where just I remember this interaction where someone came up to me and asked like one question and then basically launched into a pitch.
Hmm.
Like where do you live? And it's like kind of
Yeah.
telling the area I live. And then it was like, oh, do you need da 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 done for your house kind of thing. And then just would not stop. And it actually wouldn't even take a hint. I think not being aware of maybe the gentle nudges that people around you may be trying to give you to help, just was totally zoned in. So that like meet you in the elevator pitch, the 30-second pitch, that it was just not good. So that's definitely.
Uh, that's what I love about networking mastery class. As you know, with us collaborating on this and working together, I what we're doing with this is I think it's going to shock the world a little bit.
Mhm.
And I don't say that lightly, and I don't want to be a hype person, but because there are a lot of, I mean, the person that's shoving the cards, that person wasn't born that way. They learned that in some stupid class, right? I get I'm going to tell the quick story of my Starbucks story, right? I went to Starbucks a lot in Kansas City when I was doing business, because I knew a lot of people who went to that Starbucks, and it was more community than it was getting the coffee. But I remember standing in line, and I was just minding my own business, and I saw this young 20 something year old person, guy, and he was literally going through the Starbucks line, handing people the cards. And once he was three away from me, I heard him say, I'm a realtor with blank, and I just wanted to give you my card, right? So he gets to me. I'm like number 17 in line. So he's being gutsy, right? And so he gets to me, and I look at it and I threw it on the floor. And he was like, "Hey, man, like, what are you doing?" And I'm like, you know, I was the only one nice enough to tell you what I was going to do with the card later.
Mhm.
Right. I mean, all these people, all they're going to do is throw away that card. And if they happen to be next to a trash can, they would have done it earlier. And guess what? I'm going to pick that up because I'm not going to litter. But I hope you got the point. Are you open to seeing a better way to doing this than shoving your card and annoying the heck out of people who are in line? Right. And I see people around me, and the 18th person in line was so happy that I just did that because they're not going to have to go through the awkwardness of the situation. Right. And people next to me are like, like nodding. And I go, all right. So I had his name because I saw it in the card, but I almost said it. I'm not going to say it. But Guy, let's go to the front. So we went to the front of the line and we skipped. And at first, people are like, because they had their judgment on that guy. right? Like, is this jerk going
Yeah.
to cut in line all the way to the beginning and that kind of thing? And it was like, we went up there and everybody was looking for sure, right? Because they didn't want to be cut on. And number two, they were wondering what the heck I was going to do. So I go up there and I give the barista my credit card and I just say, here's the deal. The people that are in line right now, we're buying their coffee, right? So me and I'm going to just give him a name, right? His name's Josh, right? So me and Josh are buying their coffee, right? So they're going through line and we're just saying, hey, congratulations or thanks, or you know what, we're celebrating. Hey, we just want to buy this for you. We're excited about being in the area. Josh here just set some records. He's really excited about his real estate business. So we're just here to buy. So bought, got into a 2-minute conversation. Next person bought, had a 2-minute conversation. Well, the seventh person in line actually had a real estate need. By the way, this is the same person that Josh had shoved a business card in before. Well, we got into it. Now I'm in real estate too in Kansas City. So there was some, I had some, I don't want to call it an ulterior motive, but I definitely, like when they started talking, me, Josh, and the person started talking about them selling their home. And so we got their information and I just said, hey, Josh, here's the deal. I'm going to take that listing and I'm going to pay you a referral fee. Okay. And so that went down the road. I did eventually get that listing. Now, we go through and there's about 22 people eventually that we bought for because there were 3 or 4 people that came in later. And here's the thing. Josh had great conversations with every one of them. And the people stayed for the most part. And it just like it turned into a conversation that took over the whole Starbucks in a real community feel. And it was it was based on generosity, right? I paid off the tab, got my drink, and I go, all right, how'd it go? And he goes, oh my God, that was a lot different. And I go, how much do you think that cost me? And he goes, I don't know, like 300, $400. It was $150. $150. $150 to have those conversations. But which conversations were better? The ones where you're shoving the card or the ones where you bought them a $4 or $5 gift, right? Which was the coffee. And so he was like, and guess what? That was one of my first I love you lattes. I discovered it as much as he did, but I'd already done it a few times, so I knew the power of it. But and it just like you could see the light bulb go off in his head, and it was just different. And it was $150. That's it. But the reception was so much different. It's a spirit of generosity versus the spirit of taking. Something he literally had just learned in class that week. We probably, hopefully, erased forever, and hopefully he understood the lesson of generosity. So there's a way to network with the business card push, and you talked about the elevator pitch, right? There's no elevator pitches in networking mastery class. There's no elevator pitch. There's only great questions, right? And that's what I love. Is it's so much more about what we can give than what we can get. And what's interesting is the more that you're interested in giving, the more you receive referrals through networking. Have you found that as
Oh yeah.
what you've seen in
Yeah.
networking?
Yeah, definitely. Because when, just finding that way, I mean, the interesting thing there in the coffee, the whole second layer is like you not only did you buy them the coffee, but you bought them something that they wanted, right? They all wanted the coffee.
Yeah, we knew they wanted it. How did we
Yeah,
know it? They
exactly.
were
Because
in
they're at
line.
Starbucks. It's
Yeah,
like, it's perfect, right?
yeah.
So
So
in networking,
great point. Item of value,
yeah,
right? That goes
yeah,
back to the old item of how do you know something's an item of value? If you're driving ketchup and mustard to them on July 4th for a barbecue, like what are you doing? They already have ketchup and mustard. There's no value in what you consider items of value, right? And the thing is we knew it was an item of value. You hit it on the head, Tommy, is like we knew it was of value because they were in line to get it, right? They were coming to Starbucks. So
yeah, exactly. And so that transfers over into networking is like finding what people want
mm,
and helping them get it or giving something that's really going to help them move forward. And just coming from that place naturally leads to that kind of desire for reciprocity. But even if it doesn't, hey, you still, they might can talk to you, they connect you to somebody when the time comes along. So yeah, that's always been the core is help people in some way and it comes back.
yeah, what if you didn't annoy anybody? What if your business plan did not entail annoying anybody? If you didn't annoy or make people feel awkward, what happens, right? What's the flip side? So let's say your business plan was totally focused on making people feel awesome, right? Well, the more people you feel awesome, they're going to talk more positively about you in all their interactions, right? But if you make 9 people awkward on your way to getting the one client who you intimidated or shoved yourself on or whatever it was, then guess what? Those 9 people that you made feel awkward, maybe 5 of them don't do anything, but in today's world, 4 of them are going to go talk about you on Instagram or Twitter or X or Facebook, right? This guy came up to me today, blah blah, and so you hit it on the head there. That I think that's a really big mistake that people make with networking is they're in it for the take. We think of networking for referrals, and guess what? It's really networking for relationships, and then you turn those relationships into referral sources.
Yeah.
So I love that. All right, and so you know the other part of it too is what made that person that you met early on a great networker. You said he was a great networker. How do you know he was a great networker? Did you know he was a great networker from the beginning, or did
No,
you learn that over time?
I learned it pretty quickly
Do you
because
want to name names?
yeah. Actually, I
Who
do.
is
I
it?
wanted to give a shout out. It's Kyle Davis.
Okay.
Kyle
Okay.
Davis. Yeah, he's moved a little bit out of Orlando now, but yeah, the core is he asked questions, right? I was like totally getting out of my comfort zone, doing what my coach was telling me to do, and it's like I didn't have at that point I thought I needed a pitch, right? I thought I needed the
That's right.
fancy I
The
help statement,
cheesy,
right?
the cheesy
Yeah.
slogan, right?
So I go up to he's so what do you do? And I'm like, I'm a motivational speaker. And he goes, oh, like Tony Robbins? I'm like, yeah, that. And that's
Yeah.
really all I knew. I didn't know what I was going to speak on. I didn't know. All I knew was I had a passion for personal development, and I was going to go figure out how to bring that into my life and help others with it. And so he was so positive to that he kept asking me questions. I find out he had a background working at Disney. Well, once we got to Disney, I mean the gloves are off now, right? Once that conversation starts. So
So wow. So he found a common interest, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Found the common interest, and then it was and was just so willing to help in any way and just genuinely interested, right? Like you always say. And then um, I could tell there was more because if I recall correctly at the time, he may have been an ambassador for the chamber, actually.
Okay.
And this was a young professionals after hours event that the chamber was doing. And then I would see him at the other events. So pretty soon it's like, oh, he knows a lot of people. He's repeatedly at these events. Oh, everybody knows Kyle Davis, right? And
Yeah.
then that led to BNI. So that was those are the things. I mean, asking great questions, be interested, and then when he saw the opportunity to invite to the group, he thought of me and invited me to it.
Love it. How important is mindset when it comes to networking? Like what
Ah,
shifts do people need to make to succeed?
yeah. I think a lot. I think the first one is the quantity to quality, and it almost feels sometimes like it's overused, but I don't think common sense is not always common practice. We hear and hear and hear it, but there's always another layer of understanding to that. And so going out and really understanding to be hyper focused on it's not go to as many events as possible. It's deep, not wide.
Hmm.
And that's a big thing just from the mindset perspective. What are you going into it with? And then I think the second one is go in looking for the who, not the what.
Mm.
And I think there's a lot out there that's like, pairing the professions, and that has an element to it, right? But just go and find the great people first and
Hmm.
let them lead you to connect you to the ones who maybe complement your business directly, rather than going into the room and straight out of the gate, like, oh, I'm looking for this particular profession because you
Hmm.
don't know anything about that person. So the mindset shift there behind it is just going to focus on the who first and then let the what come later.
For sure. That's such a really good point. We were talking about that a little bit earlier this week when we were putting together, the curriculum and development and everything else. And it's like, I mean, we there are a lot of places that teach that. They teach, all right, build your power team. If you're in real estate, you got to have an insurance guy or girl. So make sure you're networking for an insurance person. There's some validity to that, but you're probably going to miss out on some of the best people and biggest opportunities when you do that. And honestly, I've been the victim of that. I've been the one where they come to me and they don't really know me and they're like, "Hey, listen, I'm looking for a insurance person." Right. And so I give them an insurance person, but they just missed out on an opportunity to build a relationship with me because they weren't looking for a realtor. They were looking for an insurance agent, right? Or a connector. And I think the example I gave you, the other day is like, I wouldn't have met Jeff Crooks. Jeff Crooks, one of my best ambassadors and best referral sources. And if I were looking for a power team, he didn't fit what a lot of people define in the power team for a realtor. He was a business broker. But the guy was I mean, man, this is my guy. I built a relationship with the who's and I didn't care about the what's. And maybe I did it wrong. I don't know, but it seemed to work out really well.
Yeah, exactly. And I found the same thing with going like, because the other element there is you don't know the competency of that person, and you don't know if they're really focused on referrals. Like one of the things when I was a healthcare broker, one of the challenges that I found was like everyone would be like, okay, what's the complementary industry? Oh, all right, it's payroll for,
Yeah, right.
for that industry. Okay, well, the problem is most payroll companies are teaching their guys to go pound pavement and they're
Right.
under quotas. Well, the problem there is that means they're not actually focused on referrals. They're
Right.
focused on running the numbers and hitting the quotas. And that's what they're told to do. But if you're going for that and you don't know that they're actually also focused on really truly focused on networking, really truly focused on building by referral, then you're spending a whole lot of time investing in a relationship
Yeah.
that is not likely to go anywhere.
Yeah, I love that. What I've found with what you want to do is you want to find the best networkers and the best connectors.
Yeah.
And what I've discovered, and I think in our conversation you've discovered, is that the best networkers and the best connectors are not necessarily limited to certain professions.
Mhm.
It's amazing the variety of professions that these great ambassadors come from. What did Kyle Davis do? What was he interested in? I mean, I'm guessing it wasn't part of your power team.
No, he was financial advisor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So it just happened, and man, I got a great connection here. He's a great networker and a great connector, and I'm sure he did really well in his business. And it just happened that he was a financial planner. But if
Yeah.
he did landscaping, he would have been phenomenal in landscaping. If he would have been in personal injury law, he would have done great at personal injury law. That's the thing, right? That's why you're saying don't go for a profession, go for the who, go for the person. Meet great people and great connectors. And somebody might ask, well, how do we find those? Well, good question, because we're going to tell you exactly how to do that in networking mastery class. How to be pinpoint and focused on your
Yeah.
networking efforts so that you're not wasting a lot of time, effort, money, and stress, right?
Yeah.
So um, so that kind of leads us to some of the introverts out there. How can introverts or those, and honestly, extroverts can feel uncomfortable too. So I don't want to necessarily exclude them from this question, but you know, how how can they feel confident about networking and find success in networking?
Well, I think, number one, I'm an introvert. I'm definitely, but I know that's hard to understand for some. It may not look that way sometimes, right? But it's like it's a switch. I can turn the switch off, and then when we're done, it's like everyone go away, leave me alone, let me recharge alone. I enjoy my alone time, right? And so in the social environment, though, the I think the biggest thing with for introverts is that, or I actually have a friend that says, well, I'm an extrovert with social anxiety.
Yeah,
She's like, I like being around people, but I have social anxiety, right? Well,
yeah,
I think the vast majority of that comes from the I don't know what to say. which goes back to go in, figuring out what questions you can ask people,
Mm-hmm.
and using the various, I mean, there's all kinds of things out there in terms of what questions you can ask, but the key in as an introvert is going in with at least some core concept of what questions you can ask someone when you meet them. And then the other part is become friends with the one that's the polar opposite, that it's going to go work the room. Right?
Right.
Be friends with them. You just be friends with one of those people. They'll bring the people to you. Right? I did that
That's
all
true.
the time. Right? Let them go work the room and bring them to
Yeah.
me.
Buy the drinks for the extroverts.
Yeah. Was that
Right. That's, I think that buy the drinks for the extroverts. That's
exactly?
the key concept right here.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
let me ask you this without giving too much away, right? What is one unique concept or exercise that attendees can expect from February's networking mastery class?
I I believe the most, I mean, it's all impactful, but I was thinking about like what's really the thing. We can go networking and we can meet people and we can set one-on-one meetings from the networking. The challenge becomes that one-on-one meeting. So many people are building like a level 5 relationship in that one-on-one meeting,
Mm-hmm.
that first meeting. On a scale of 1 to 10, they're level 5. What we're going to go over.
Now, what does that mean? What does that mean? Scale 1 to 10, I'm guessing, or is it
Yeah.
it's not a 1 to 5 scale, right?
No. Yeah.
Okay,
No.
so
Yeah. 1 to
so
10.
explain that a little bit. What do you mean by
Yeah.
that?
So like level 1 is effectively you don't know them, right? They're a
Yep.
stranger. And then I think of it as 4, 5, 6. You're kind of like it's like in the friend zone in dating.
Yep.
And so you're just like you're like you have like and know, but maybe not trust yet. And then 8 to 10 is the referral zone where the trust is high, so that if they were given an opportunity to refer you, there's a high likelihood that they would.
Mhm.
What most people are doing in that first meeting is building level 5. They're like, I'm going to get to know you and this and that. But there's not a real intention behind, can I get this to level 10
Mhm.
in one meeting? And as a result of that, because no one has taught how to do that effectively, in my opinion,
Mhm.
or from what I've seen, and certainly from what I've learned, then you get it's a long game. It's a long
Yeah.
game.
Yep.
You can't start your business. I mean, when I started as the insurance agent, they're like, here's the track to run on. And the track to run on was door knocking and cold calling.
Mhm.
Okay. No one gave me a track to run on as networking. Why? Well, it takes too long. You can't, that takes a long time. You can't do that. You can't rely on that. You need to just go get business.
Mhm.
Well, that's because no one has taught how to actually build that relationship to a level 10 relationship in one meeting.
Mhm.
So there's a strong focus there in networking mastery class on how to conduct those one-to-ones so that you're at least at a point in that relationship where, if given the opportunity, they're willing to refer you. And you may even get a referral from that one meeting, from the very first meeting, if you go through the process right. So I
Yeah.
think that's the most impactful thing that people can walk away with and then build it's a skill, right? So they're going to learn how to do it and can continually be better at it. But I think that's the one thing where people struggle the most is that and follow up.
Yeah.
And but the number one thing really is that build at level 10 by doing the system, and then the rest takes care of itself.
Yeah, that's what I love about it is it takes them through the sequence to get referrals, right? So
Yeah.
it's like attending events mastery, right? It's how to attend networking events and come away with 4 or 5 1-to-ones. Then you coach them on the 1-to-ones, right? There's 2 sessions where it's 1-to-one mastery. How do you dive deep with those relationships and how do you build it? How do you take a 0 and make them an ambassador? How do you take a 0 and make it a 9 or 10? How do you go from the friend zone to the end zone and the end zone is the referral zone? And
Right.
that's that 8, 9, 10 level on the relationship scale. And then you don't stop there because we all know that the fortune's in the follow up. And then you go deep into follow up mastery on, all right, what exactly do you now? How do you follow up immediately? and then how you follow up for the end game and the long game. And I absolutely love that. And one of the things that we were kind of joking about when we were developing is, and I want all the listeners and viewers to really just hone in on this is, what if you had a magic booth that when you got people into the booth, they fell in love with you and became an ambassador for you? What would you do to get them into the magic booth? Like what would you do? Would you invite them? Would you invite a lot of people? Would you visit the magic booth? Or would you just hear about it and maybe go, wow, whatever. But what if you had a magic booth where you did one-to-ones and people would go from the friend zone to the end zone, or the stranger zone to the end zone, which is the referral zone. And that's what you're going to build during networking mastery classes. You're going to learn how to build the magic booth using the networking stack and the home court advantage and some of the strategies from 7L and that have developed over the years. So I think, that's one big concept that I think is going to really, really, and if you master the one-to-one and make that one-to-one a magic booth, it's game changing. It's life changing. That's where magic happens. That's why I call it the magic booth is don't try to make the magic happen at the networking event. Too many people are like, oh, you're not going to do business with me? Never mind. Oh, you don't need a water filtration system right now? Next. Oh, you don't need an air filter system. Don't you know your house is killing you? Right?
Yeah.
You're like, all right, next. Don't you know your water in your house is killing you? It's like, wow, that is a really good point. And I'm going to go over here and get some water from their thing over there. So, yeah. So anyway, I love it. So for
I
someone,
feel like I have to share a story there
yeah,
that popped into my head as you're saying that, because it really does. First of all, just to say that, like when I read the book and then I started putting things into place, it was the one-to-ones that I started with, right? Because that was before the events. So I started with the one-to-ones, and they really did make such an impact. And there's a lot of ways that things are taught around how to do the one-to-ones. It was just the little tweaks that really made an impact. And to make it like very tangible, one of the first one-to-ones I did using what we're going to teach in networking mastery, I did a one-to-one with Rick Graves. I did the process afterwards, sent him, did the follow-up. This was 20 January of 19-ish, somewhere in there. He, after lockdown, was talking to someone and said, oh, you need to meet my friend Thommy. So he refers me. I do a one-to-one. From that one-to-one, I'm like, hey, I need a virtual assistant. She was a great one-to-one person, right? She would ask me questions. What can I help with? I needed a virtual assistant. She then connected me with Tracy. And Tracy is now helping at Referco. So that
yeah,
all went, and Tracy's team, right? And Robin.
yeah,
So that all went back to a one-to-one that was following the system and has created like an exponential web of impact, right?
yeah.
So you just never know what's going to come from that.
You don't, and you're exactly right. Is just, you know, here's the thing: if you master the one-to-ones, you're gonna be encouraged to go to a lot more events because you have this system in place that's going to convert strangers to ambassadors.
Yeah.
So spending 2 sessions in 2 weeks within the 4 weeks is critical on that. And then the other thing too that you bring up a really good point around is how it is different. Too many people at the one-to-one are asking for referrals. They are pitching people. They are advertising to people in person, which is the worst thing, and or they're just being obnoxious, right? And or they're just so worried about like I got to get business from this. I got to get business that the commission breath and the desperation breath are just truly unattractive, repulsive. Well, the cool thing is, all right, you master the one-to-one by all being all about generosity and being all about listening and being all about giving. And of course, part of you in the back of your mind is, well, they haven't heard anything about me. They haven't learned anything. Some of them don't even know I'm a realtor at this meeting. Trust me, they know what you are. They know your profession. They've Googled you before you showed up, right? You know, and so you're so worried that, man, I didn't tell them my value proposition. I didn't tell them my uniqueness. I didn't tell them my story, right? Everything's about the story now. It's like nobody gives a crap about your story until you've heard their story. Then they want to hear your story. So, but what's powerful about this is, yeah, you can be that way. Be generous, giving, asking, and just breathe if you have the right follow-up in place. With the right follow-up in place, the follow-up is going to educate and convert them to your army of ambassadors. So if you have that follow-up in place, you relax during the one-to-one and do the right thing, which is be interested. And then if you have a one-to-one in place that's really powerful, then you go to networking events and you're not looking for 200 people. You're looking for 4 people to take to the one-to-ones, to spend the time, energy, effort, and money on the follow-up of. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful system. The networking play is a game changer. I hate to use the word game changer because I think it's overused, but it truly was a game changer for me, and I know it's been a game changer for you, right? Any final words of wisdom for someone who's thinking about starting networking or they're considering networking mastery class?
Yeah, I think I really want to go back to the values component to this, to say we're doing business with love. Like some people may have, oh, it won't work in my area, or that won't work for me, or they're something is popping up in their head with fear. And what I can say is like, and I challenge those who have not yet leaned in is lean in, because trust the values. Everything we do is love, generosity, and appreciation. And it truly does make people feel awesome. You may think it's gonna be weird. It's not. You're actually gonna find that it's not. So just trust that, and all of the stories that we have of that. And then for those that are already going to be able to be in the class because they're in the Referral Mastery Academy or whatever, like this is the opportunity for you to find that next level of growth. Like, how can you go to a higher level of love in your business, right? And in your life? This is the opportunity, because we're going to challenge to go to that level, to bring out more generosity, more appreciation, and put it in a networking context, and you will grow. And it's a beautiful thing. So you want to grow, come to class, and we're going to help you upgrade.
Yeah. And I would I love that. That's a powerful thing. I think it also goes to that quantity versus quality mindset approach is, man, don't go in looking for 200. Just grow your sphere with one really good person at a time. Which is better for your business? A database of 20,000 or a database of one? And it may sound like a lot of people, well, 20,000. And it's like, my question is, well, what if the one is Oprah,
Mhm.
right? What if the one, and the question is, who's your Oprah? Like, who's your Oprah? Who's my Oprah? Jeff Crooks was my Oprah in Kansas City for several years. And it's one of those, like, who's your Oprah? And then who are you Oprah for? And that goes back to what I feel is the value thing. People are always like, well, what is this item of value? What can I get somebody for a closing gift? What can I, give for value to my farming area that I'm working? Or what, and the fact of the matter is you are the item of value. We are the item of value. We are a resource who cares about the people in our network. And instead of, giving them a trinket that they really don't care about, help them conquer a challenge, help them achieve a goal, help them, accomplish a dream, or help them just get through and make their life a little bit better. And we have that ability. We have Google, we have Chat GPT. Are you using AI to better other people's lives? That's the greatest way to use AI right now. Is you hear their challenge, you hear where they want to go, you go to Chat GPT and go, well, if I were having these challenges and issues, what would maybe be a solution or two? Chat GPT gives you 2 or 3, you send it over to your friend, and guess what? You've added more value than you ever did by giving them ketchup and mustard on freaking July 4th. Period. So I think the big thing there too is just being willing and able to think about other people um, some of the time and blocking time off to do that, which I know is a big part of networking mastery as well. So, Thommy, this has been awesome. I always appreciate our conversations, and quite honestly, I've talked to you more than I have my wife this year and last year. And you always make me think bigger. You always make me think differently, and you're challenging and also a mentee. So it's been one of those relationships that's made me a better person. So I appreciate that.
Likewise, of course, and thanks for having me and for everything you do. And I think I said this on my very first episode, and I think it's the perfect just thing to say again because it's on my heart. Is like, you know, as we've said before, there's a lot of lack of trust in the coaching industry and strategies that don't work and gurus that aren't who they say they are. And it's like you are the one who is the same behind the camera as you are in front of it, behind the stage as you are in front of it, and like someone that you can trust. And the strategies work, the heart's in the right place, always there truly to help. And so thanks for leading the tribe.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you for those words. And I try to be, man. I try to be, do the best I can. Definitely not infallible and full of mistakes and issues and blemishes. And I even had a pimple one time. So in December, it's like, I'm 55 years old. How do I get a pimple? Come on now. So it's one of those where I do appreciate it. And here's the thing. So you've gone through this and maybe you're scared of networking, or maybe you're really good at networking. It doesn't matter. Networking mastery class is for you. That's what I love about the class. I don't care who you are. If you're Dr. Ivan Meisner, you could go through networking mastery class and learn a bunch, period. If you're brand new in your industry, you can go through networking mastery class and learn a bunch and literally be a networking expert in 30 days. So check it out, networkingmasteryclass.com. If you're in Referral Mastery Academy, we have the greatest gift ever. It's a part of your subscription. That doesn't happen all the time with new classes, but in this case, it is our gift to you to start the year and help you launch the year. And then also, if you're considering referralmasteryacademy.com, look at networkingmasteryclass.com and then go, all right, well, maybe I could use classes like this on a regular basis. Well, you can sign up for referralmasteryacademy.com for $99.97 instead of taking a class for $497 or $997. You can pay $100 and get networking mastery class plus 2 masterminds that are live, plus a lot of other things. So maybe consider Referral Mastery Academy. So I just appreciate you guys listening to Referrals Podcast each and every week. I will tell you, we were late one day for a tech issue, and I had like 200 messages about where's the podcast today. Trust me, we hear you, people. We hear you. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching on YouTube. YouTube.com/getreferrals is going bonkers right now. What a way to start the year. I mean, it is a year of momentum. Very excited about this year and just appreciate all of the people that have been regulars forever. Trust me, I know who you are. I'm going to remember you forever, even as we grow and grow and grow. The tribe started small and powerful, and now it's growing large and powerful, and we just appreciate all of you. And trust me, I know what the next podcast is about. Make sure you subscribe and make sure that you are here. And then also rate us and review us, because people do read those. When you do the review, make sure you put your contact information in the review, because when people listen to Referrals Podcast, you know what they're interested in? Referrals, and they could refer you. We've heard many stories of people getting referrals that way. So I appreciate you. I love you. We'll see you next time on Referrals Podcast.